5, 6, 1. You change. You see it?
No, I didn't see it. I'm just gonna watch it.
And maybe it's just bigger. Just for the first chord.
Okay, not
The rest are right. Now take out the first 2 notes. Just play the first chord. And I want you to play the rest stroke.
Well, do I do extra from?
No, you do not. There you go. The rhythm's better, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And feel your thumb. Feel the sensation of your thumb, not your wrist. Okay, this should stay the same. Move your thumb, not the wrist. There we go. Good. There we go. At the same time, you hear the bass.
Yeah.
But now you're going What I recommend is the Tarega in the pumping one, just the other tricks and doing a restaurant with the thumb.
Exactly. You know that way that it's talking about?
I probably gave it to you.
It's in your lesson notes. We can look back at our lesson notes. That exercise.
But yeah, that's the biggest thing that I noticed. That the wrist is a little bit too low, which I told you how to time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then practice more retro with the thumb. And we don't want the flat angle like against the string. Because I know a lot of people can get through that without the nail. But we want more of that's about 45 degrees. That's what you got. That's what you have right now. Right here. Your hand is so much better though. And you will be able to play a louder bass. And that's my 2 cents.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, keep going, bro. Keep going. You're exploding 20 times. You start.
Yeah.
So this is that, right?
Yeah.
So is there a reason why like these two are not like the thing like immediately from the beginning? Because it's a very like slow here, but I don't know if that's something that you did
Oh yeah.
intentionally.
No, I didn't do that.
It was a figure, the first 2 notes are like,
Yeah.
I just want her to play a slow order
I'm just asking if it was intentional or why, and you can make it with good reason, that's fine.
No, I really didn't think about that at all.
Oh, okay, because because here, if this is a dance like beep, 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 this would be pop, pop.
That don't need to be like it needs to be rhythmic.
Correct, right?
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. And then like here, if you do that, here it's going to be very clear. Maybe. A great example of what the dominant here should come in a glorious and like this. He gave a great example of his body, which you could never end it. I was like, I don't have anything to tell you here other than like, you saw him how he ended at beat, and he had the thing like, it ended on beat, and the A for beat. At the end, I don't even know, like, what? He was shredding and going up, building up until he ended. Right?
Yeah.
So you should try to do something. Every single you have those repeated A.
Yeah.
You know? You can give it any that sort of like direction you want. Not direction, but any sort of like creative things you want to do, but give it that direction. It's going to be like one.
Like Toronto?
You could use that at the end, for example. I think you did, actually.
Yeah, I feel like I've been doing that.
You did, but what I mean is that, you know, whenever you see these repeated edits, it means that there's a lot of tension that's gonna be released soon.
Yeah.
And it's quite close to the end.
Yeah.
So, you know, you get maybe like crescendos to the end, maybe like, I'm just giving you very general guidance, you know, things for you to do whatever you want with that. But he gave a great example where someone was playing that, you know, that and just beginning with it now. That's really good that. Other than that, I saw you playing, and I think you're doing, because you know, this is an exercise really of getting two voices up and down.
Yeah.
That's what's going on here. You have like these two notes that you have to go, like a third up and down, third you have a couple of chord checks that you have to do. But mainly, you know, these are always two, right? Two voices in the melody going up and down.
Yeah.
I saw you a lot using guide fingers.
Yeah.
You know, like the finger that you can stay down, and that's great. Use it all you can. I don't think you use it all the time that you can. I think you sometimes lift your hand, which I cannot point exactly where it is to. But you should maybe, when you are playing it slowly again, just see that all of the ones that are possible, you are still playing with one finger now, because it just will, you know, it will be a lot less risk of missing it, you know. But you also have to be careful with the thumbs if you don't want them. Because I heard a couple, I don't know if you want them or not, but sometimes it was like, you know, this type of sound.
Yeah,
I don't know if you want it or not, I know like it's in the gear and I don't know if we. But that's it, those are my little things, you know, he went straight to the technique. So
Yeah.
I was just like try to tell you a little bit about what I heard and what you might want to see or check out, you know.
Yeah.
If you think it's worth it.
Okay.
You're good. Did you any questions?
Well, there's been this one word, I took a right down where, wait, let me find it.
Oh, I was gonna ask you about some chords.
Yeah.
Like I saw you were having some diminished shape chords.
Oh, yeah, the Diminished chords, I don't know if I'm getting this one, it's not kind of practice sometimes, like this. But yeah, I've been
Are
doing.
I was gonna ask you to see if maybe you know like those correct. Good chords, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Is
like,
it hard for your left hand to do things?
yeah, like right here, especially like my second finger.
Right. And I want to see this, I want to see your shoulder like dip, especially when you're like what, seventh position?
This kind of like this.
Yeah, that way, yeah, we do left.
Oh, yeah, so good.
Yeah, your elbow can come out too. Yeah, when you're moving that way.
Like
Yeah.
that,
Yeah, we'll do it that way.
but then I can't like see.
But then, yeah, well, I mean, it's not, it's, you move with the guitar, right? It's like the guitar stays still, but you want to. So it's like I'm doing this. Yeah, when I go further that way, that's when you do like that. So when you go further that way,
Like, oh, so you move like the opposite.
you're going up, go that way.
But then I want to go over here.
Yes, no, it's just for this, it's just for when you're above the 12th fret. Just,
Like this?
yeah.
Alright.
Yeah.
Alright. There's this one I was having a hard time with, this one like, and then like this. I think I did it wrong now. It's like,
Yeah, the stuff.
and it's so hard.
Let me see, get into it.
Like.
Okay, so maybe a roll, like with the right hand.
Yeah. I need to figure out like what's in it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so roll and make sure your fingers go down in that succession, your pinky being lax.
Okay, so.
Right, so like while you're rolling, you have a little bit of time to get that pinky down, and it's probably the hardest one for you to get down.
Yeah.
But definitely make sure it's 2 and 3 fall in, and if you get 2 and 3, 1 should be K, and then finally.
Well, because I flipped it all the way. Usually I roll. Wait, actually, like usually this is how I do it. And and I usually roll those, but I was like, I don't want to roll those. Like, no, I lost my spot.
It's okay.
But yeah, you know what I'm talking about. I would usually roll those, but then I was like, you know what? I'm not doing that.
Yeah. Well, just when you're trying that E7 chord, just make sure that you're crawling the fingers. Instead of trying to go for all four at once.
Yeah.
2, 3, 1, 4. And then
Okay.
it should be a little easier.
It's also when you feel easier, I think you can take all those brace notes out. You're practicing those,
Okay.
when you're really certain where you're going.
Yeah. Okay.
Pretty good investment.
Yeah.
Very good. You should write now.
Your pencil. Show me not a pencil. Every week, call your next. Put a pencil in your bag.
Like, I got here and they gave me an A tag, and I was like, I don't know what to do. All right. Right? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's right.
And, I should write down and that chord that I don't know.
How about anyone else in the class? Any questions? Do you have a question about what students share so far? Clarification? Online?
So, did you put a pencil in your bag? 2 messages for Chris.
Just use that as a
I still.
We'll fix that for next time.
I'm going to Sam's Club. I'm going to Tops.
There you go.
Stealing.
You know, now we don't have pencils because everything is digital. When I was a kid, we didn't have pencils because we had pencil fights. We had written. Okay, let's go on to the next performer. Daniel has offered to shred for us.
Daniel.
This thing over here on the wall.
You can stick it up there.
Okay.
If you have it, that'd be nice.
Yeah, let's do this. We'll let Alberto and Chris share this stand. Alberto, you want to go over here, Chris? And just remember that we have those at home joining on the camera up there. So when we have the class session, we'll try to like angle toward the camera too. Okay?
Oh, yes, I remember the part that you mentioned.
Yeah, this is the chart. Let me see something with that. You just go on and noodle a little bit, and I'll see if I can manage to find the music here. He has it. No.
It's like so much. I'm ready.
We're not ready yet. We're gonna try to display the music while we play moments so that everyone can follow along.
But I haven't told you. So it looks like the ones that are up there from it's all up there. So, you said. So what's this thing?
Well, I usually mark up my scores as well, just to perform it before I get to.
Yeah. Daniel's really good about marking up the scores.
I mean, maybe you can practice it that way, and if you don't like it musically, you can still like notice that you learn just to get kind. But you try to play the rest of it, right? This is a way to practice. You're not gonna play that way. I know you don't. Just like chords like that. Just practice chords. Like just play the first chord, E-I-N. That right there. Just play
Okay. That is the story that was actually true. Yeah, it's honestly just the name of where it's from. So
I'm gonna do half the light, so we already have half light. Can everyone see that over there? Back there?
okay, so this is what Nathaniel is playing, and it is called tarantella, which is a name of a type of dance. There are many different versions of tarantellas, not only for the guitar. And you'll notice if you look in the upper left-hand corner of this sheet, it says Bardenklänge, sextet text, which means the sixth book or the sixth volume, actually, of the Bardenklänge, the Bard's songs. This is by a German composer, Johann Caspar Merz, who lived from 1806 to 1856 and wrote a lot of music for the guitar. And these pieces are some of the most challenging repertoire we have in many ways, but fit the instrument quite nicely from a musical standpoint. And the edition you're seeing here is one of the first editions, so one of the earliest ones. This is open copyright, which is why we're showing it here. So follow along as Nathaniel plays and make sure to think of any questions you might have at the end.
And you're trying not to die. You're trying to get the poison out of you, right?
Well, this is the myth,
Right?
that is not actually true. Yeah.
So it's called anaphylactic shock. What happens, your blood vessels dilate so much, the blood pressure drops.
Yeah.
And then your brain organs don't get any oxygen.
So you really just needed EpiPen.
You need to have that's what you need. Or you gotta dance. You never danced before.
Yeah.
All right, hey man, it sounds really good. You're killing it. You feel out of the driver's seat sometimes. Going a little too fast for yourself. Awesome. So the intro, it seems like we're unclear where the tension should be, and where the tension isn't. So what do you think? On the dominant, or do you want to? And this is like, it's really like dominant, like E is on this one. So can we just do the intro here? should start happening. It seems like when you perform it, it starts happening somewhere in here. But when you make this final right here, maybe that's two measures to start doing your wrong conduct. Don't like it seems like you just started a little bit too early. You're like, I gotta keep slowing down and slow down a little bit more. But just at the tail end, it's the intro. It's not too much craziness just yet.
Okay.
So yeah, can you start somewhere right there? Yeah, keep going. Good. Good, good. Yeah, this, yeah, you want to do, yeah. So I heard you playing throughout, and I know that you can bring up notes because you've been up, right? You've been doing it. So whenever you are concentrated in it, and sometimes there's some things that it would be so much cooler if you brought out, for example, this B, E, A, so.
We're talking about your 27.
20 are, right? If you did like that is, because you see that the bass doesn't really move, just that C, B, A.
But everything was the same. But then there is movement. It's, like D, E, A. But when you have the but below that, there's a rich movement of bass. So you play just E, like D, E, or like get correct. So that is really awesome to hear, but I'm not hearing it. I'm hearing very little. Like, you have this on top of this, but the rest is just yeah, and you can because you have done it. I saw it later that whenever you want to, you have brought out the other one. And that's one place that whenever that comes up, that you have a lot of A, and then that happens. Like that would enrich it a lot. You're looking to find that in the book.
Yeah, so yeah, definitely bring out the bass sometimes. Yeah, there were other parts. I love the color thing, but I think it might be too excessive. Like I think doing completely Tosco versus the Ponticello, like we can still achieve this contrast, like, and you can still achieve the contrast in one spot, like where you're playing on the guitar, like, and maybe exercise that, just the turning of the hand, like doing the right, so more perpendicular to string, and then will you try it for me? So that was right. Oh, so I'm sorry, you're doing it the other way, aren't you? You're doing sweet that way. Good. Can you just do it over the sound for me and replicate the same with the turning? Good. And so I think that's where you should start because you're making a lot of work for yourself. Like it looks great, it's really cool to look at, but
It's also easy to mess up.
yes, exactly. So what was your percentage rate of hitting it correctly every time? So like I think that 3 or 4 inches, and you can so much contrast that way instead of the 8 to 10 inches that you were using.
Chris, I think that's a really good point. Can you show us what you mean to just like on your instrument? Because I think that's something that we often look over.
Yeah, and it was really David Russell that kind of opened my eyes. Like he was talking about people playing maybe it was this piece, but doing the slice with the ring finger. And he's like, there's no need for me to do the slice. Like I should be able to make that sound just playing my A finger, depending on which way I'm going to turn.
Yeah.
Basically, to pick your nail across the string.
Yeah.
So the more perpendicular you are to the string, the brighter you're going to be. The more that you're playing at an angle, the rounder you're going to be. So without having to change, I can still create the same. I'm going to try and replicate that right here. Notice my hand didn't move that time. I just moved the way that my nail was playing the string. So again, try more of that and leave. I mean, you just a little bit of the part. We don't have to practice it as much. It'd be more accurate, yeah. Good man, good. I think, can we go to the next page, Stephen?
Yeah, sure.
I think again, you're not sure where your retardando should start in 52. And I think you were starting it somewhere at like 45. Maybe you were starting with that. Wait, sorry, you do 51 or 50, right? So can we start somewhere before that? Maybe can you start at 46? Is that okay for you?
I'll start at 45.
Sure. Okay, so we kind of ran out of room is what happened, right? You're like, I'm loud. Can you get me louder? No, I'm loud. It's like talking like this all the time. Is this person upset? I don't know. They're just talking loud, right? There's nowhere to go, right? You kind of ran out of room. So what I might think is 46, the D sharp diminished chord, that's loud, and then maybe the E at this point is a little bit quiet. And then the F in measure 47, that's loud, the E is a little bit quieter. Because everything can be loud at that point. But then you start your gradual crescendo, as it says, whatever measure that is, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, that's when the crescendo should start. But if you start right here, you're loud, I run out of room, but I'm slowing down, it doesn't come across. So can you give that a shot? This loud, this loud. That's the whole thing. Yeah, it doesn't have to be that much. Yeah, that's good. That's much better. Much better. Yeah, so just don't run out of room. If you play everything loud, you'll run out of room. So find something quiet. In this case, I think it should be the E chord. This is acting like the dominant to the dominant. And then this finally will become the dominant. That one too. Fine. Yeah, right.
So here's a little quiz sidebar while they're moving on to the next thing. What happens here in measure 51 that suggests an increase in harmonic tension and possibly the beginning of that increase in dynamic that Chris was talking about? Yeah, exactly.
There's
I knew
another
you would get that right away. There's another thing too.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, there's another thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the other thing?
I was going to say the E.
Yeah, the revoicing of the chord too.
Right.
So that's a trick that a lot of composers use. Bach was probably one of the most adept at doing that. He was borrowing the idea from people like Palestrina, who would use a change in voicing to suggest an increase in tension or decrease in tension.
The G major section. I love the dolce. Be very quiet. It's when you have the open E. So how about you just start on the G? Okay. This is so much better. That time. Because we were talking about you finding voices. That inner voice. It came out with the G a lot, but when you got to the second half with the low E in the bass, that's when we started to hear the high E more than anything. And but yeah, that was much nicer that time. So it just didn't come across in the performance. Yeah. How about you keep going? How about can you do the C?
What measure?
Oh, that's like 76.
76, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see, so there it is again. That bass has got to come out at that part. It's really difficult, right? And that's because it's the high E is all that I hear. And maybe, you know, you have that do, re, mi, do. This is gonna come up again. It's gonna come up again especially when we get to the tremolo at the very end. But like, I want you to think of brighter as louder and rounder as softer. Okay? So what I just heard was the really bright, right? And your bass is really round. So what am I going to hear? What's going to cut through? Like acoustically, you're just going to hear the E. So what came on the line? That's what you wanted that point?
No, I just mean, if it's too bright, it sounds like a mosquito.
Yeah. So what you can do in some cases is instead of just like actually trying to play one quieter or one louder, just play one brighter and one rounder. Did I say that right?
That's right.
I don't know sure what came out of my mouth. But yeah, so maybe the E can be a little more round and you're playing more on the nail with the thumb and that bass can come out a little bit more.
I always play the bass like I'm just to hear, yeah, just to hear my
Yeah. I bet you sing it too, don't you? You sing
I am doing it right now, exactly.
Yeah, you gotta sing it. So yeah,
And then you'll know what you want to hear, and then you'll be like, now it's out.
And I'm only.
I just have to practice that with my thumb.
Okay, yeah, wait.
So brighter. And the reason that I say this is going to come up, I don't know if I should jump too far ahead, but I noticed. Okay, I'm going to do it. It's measured 217, Steve. It's the same issue. Where I just heard the A, and you're doing a retro with your thumb, aren't you? But you're doing it with the flesh, aren't you?
Yeah.
Because you don't like to do the thumb at the end, right? You play with a flat thumb, and that's how it's working for you. That thumb has to come up. You gotta have that. That's 45, right? And that's how you're gonna get that to be brighter.
See, it's not easy to, and it's easy to, when I'm this bright, this gets even brighter.
Yeah, it's the way that you learn the rest stroke with the thumb. It's like you think, okay, if I have to do rest stroke with the thumb, there's no time for that, right? You should be able to play free stroke, rest stroke. I don't know any other stroke, but I would say half stroke, upper stroke. But they should all come from the same position. You know, like you shouldn't have to change. So what do? You practice like this. But there can't be. It was louder, but it wasn't coming through because it was rounder in sound. Yeah, and you practice slow like that. I mean, you can even do an all rest stroke if you really want to challenge. Stephen, have you worked in that guitar logos book?
We haven't done out of it specifically, but he has a technique packet which has samples from it. So depending on how much.
Like some of those are like practice everything retro.
So I think that is part of the problem with the my nail shape kind of has a hook there. So if I try to do that, I get stuck. So I think I just form the habit.
Yeah, I know, and I mean I did that for years. Where I really wasn't like sure how my nail should be, where my thumb should be, what angle, but it's got to be the same for both.
So
this,
can you show that, because that's a nuanced thing to play rest stroke from the same position. There's something that you have to do to make it rest stroke versus free stroke, right?
Yeah, I mean the way that we often like I see everyone nowadays like is we play with a flat wrist, right? And so the thumb is very simple to just play like this. But that I'm kind of going out, right? And then if I do want to do a free stroke, then my wrist comes up, or a rest stroke, my wrist comes up, and that way my thumb can easily go. My thumb can easily go into the string. But we need just simply play a red stroke with my thumb or a free stroke with my thumb, and then everything else works at the same time. But it's all about finding less moving parts. The more moving parts, the more room for error, like a car, right? I mean, so the more that you're moving, you gotta do this, do that, do this. I mean, I have my spots. I know my wrist stroke, my fingers. I change my wrist up a little bit. Do I always want to do that? No. Is this something I'm working on? Yeah, it's on my list.
So what do you do differently when you play the free stroke?
What the free stroke? Talking about fingers?
The thumb.
Thumb?
I mean, how do you miss the string?
How do I miss the string?
How do you miss?
It just goes a little bit. The angle of attack is less down. Same stroke. So what that makes me think is like the way that you're usually playing, things are a little bit back. Right? Just if you can play that. And then I try to play the rest stroke, look, I'm caught, right? And you probably experience that all the time. And I remember I was playing the Chicago like a year and a half playing guitar, and I didn't know what I was doing. I go for the big, huge D chord, and I'm like, I'm stuck. And
But so thumbnail shape makes it.
But I think it just placement of the wrist, biggest. That might be shape too in that case. And do you know the sandpaper trick? Take the sandpaper on the strings, and then you find a way, and you do that a bunch, and then you see what it's like. Let's go back. I want to roast this guy a little bit. Yeah.
It is 2:26. So maybe we'll leave like about 20 minutes at the end for questions and just some kind of activity for everyone to play a little bit together.
Okay, so how fast have you been playing the whole thing? I thought 104, 105, the A major section is 100. I thought that would be a little bit faster. How is that going for you? Is it hard to do the tremolo? Actually, no, I just heard it.
I think,
Did you want to pull off a little bit in tempo there?
maybe subconsciously, but it wasn't a deliberate decision. I think it's just, that's not hard for me to do quickly. It's combining it with the thumb.
With the thumb.
And especially making sure they're in perfect sync there. Yes. It just takes a bit more time to prepare my fingers, I suppose. It's just something I need to practice.
If you haven't practiced like changing thumb to wrist stroke, changing fingers to wrist stroke, or doing both fingers in thumb to wrist stroke, give all that junk a shot, and that's all in the video. And it will basically force you to find a position that you can play all of the situations that you thumb, rest, fingers, free, fingers, rest, thumb, free, rest, thumb, fingers. So give that a shot. There's like 1,000 different ways of practice. I'm sure students already told you. But can we just hear it again? Good. It's 118. That's such a pain in the butt, right? Because you got to do the slur, and you're going really fast, right? You have all these impulses. Can you try so the slur? If the timing is wrong, what do you think's wrong with the slur? Is it too slow or too fast? Slurs are always harsh, right? Like if there's something wrong with it, it's going to be too fast. And that's what's happening right here. You have all these impulses, you're going super fast. Can you just put more beat on that C sharp? Like just like put an accent. Yeah, exactly. it's a suspension, right?
You would benefit a lot, and it would be, I think that, how you play would be very easy, and would be very beneficial if you just like do this very slowly and change the weight that you apply to that thumb. In contrast to, your fingers, because, this section is all about that thumb, right? And I can hear it, can hear your melody, but it can definitely be way like, be way lower than it is, and then the melody, no. And you have the skill and ability to fix that pretty quick. You just have to do it slowly and be like listening that you really are getting that picked up, and you'll see that. But it will be.
Nate wants to go fast.
Yes, I know that.
I want to go fast. Yeah, that's really good. And, your ritardato going into this tremolo section from your performance with the, the G to F pull off. That's so good. Right, so you've been working on ritardatos with him for a long time with him.
A little bit. A lot of that Daniel came in doing already. Yeah, a lot of the musical things are already there.
Yeah, so that was a really good one. And then I noticed two others that were kind of like forced or something, just felt a little bit different. That one was like, that was awesome. Oh yeah. So your last two chords of this section, both loud?
What measure is that?
Keep going down to the very
The
136.
the D and
yeah, they were both loud. You want them both loud?
no, this should be.
Right. Maybe you roll that one too. And then,
And especially bring out the leading.
yeah, absolutely. And I like a little breath. Right? It's like if there's silence before that next one, it's gonna be much more impactful. But yeah. So you've decided you want the D chord to be a little bit softer. What do you think, Steve?
In this context, we're setting up with the
Right?
yeah, it's forzando. Yeah, it's forzando.
So then maybe the roll is what I want. I want some kind of contrast. Because I don't want
But then the breath that you're talking about is another kind of accent as well. They create personal logic accents that we can put there with this forzando that makes it even more intense.
yeah.
The nice thing about that is just the moment where you can vary what you hear in most recordings and have a little bit of your own trademark.
That's where Nate comes out.
Yeah.
We're gonna need you.
Yeah.
It's the notes he's not playing.
Exactly. Between the notes. That's what you do between the notes. Exactly, right. Great. So why don't we can just spend these last couple of minutes with any questions that you might have about this piece or just in general, and just anything that you might have for Alberto.
Nothing in particular comes to mind that we haven't already talked.
How about, so both of you have dealt with it. Nathaniel is really big time into arranging with guitar. And we don't get to see you guys for masterclass again in the week. So I thought it were an opportunity for him to ask you all about maybe any tips that you have for arranging things. This is where, for everyone here, this is where we might play something on the guitar that's not originally written for the guitar. Right? So we might take something that was originally for piano or originally for violin and play on the guitar.
Yeah, you don't need the whole chord. Like that's when you do a period, 1, 3, 5, and 7, like the parts.
I know that a lot of the time on guitar, it's especially just about making the illusion.
Right. You just grabbing what you can, right? And what's really interesting is to look at box like violin stuff. Because if you want to talk about like solo violin stuff, you want to talk about like restricted. And you look at some of that stuff, sometimes it's just a root and 7. Sometimes it's a third and 7. And you're kind of implying the rest of the chord. So I mean just taking what you can see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you see the loop sweep that I was that is different because it gives you all the bass movement too. So it's like it's a little bit less of like, you know, you have more clues. But like what we're talking about, or like Bach, it's not that it's ambiguous because you know what you're doing. But like you're doing it with like one line the majority of the time, and you're like, whoa, it's like traveling through all these harmonies and you can't tell, and it's only one line. So imagine if you have six strings. So you can grab seventh thirds like pretty easily to accompany and like, you know, enrich your harmony. But like I have not really had a lot of experience arranging. I've arranged for a solo band, but not for the guitar by itself.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, that's like you have a lot of opportunity to play. But he played, for example, really like that arrangement was really good and really difficult. And you know, like a piano piece that has like a huge range.
Yeah, and there are things that are lacking very much, especially in that intro. It is so much better on piano, like that sometimes you just do it. It's got to be like a standalone thing. Like, it doesn't have to be exactly the same. I don't know. Ranging from more than one. And you might want to start there, like do the quartet stuff, and then start things.
Anyone else have questions before we move on to some stuff?
Oh yeah, and just the bass. It's the same thing. Just 185.
185.
That's our last thing.
Yeah, sure. Let's share that, and then we'll move to 185.
What do you think you're gonna talk about?
Yeah. It's the same thing. But it's the most. This is like the hit the road jack part, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going like going that It's so metal, man. It's so metal.
Was that is that Green Day or Chicago?
Looks like
Green Day on the beat. Oh, man.
Well, I mean, that's what I usually think of.
What is it?
Like great, great.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, yeah, that
Oh,
was
race two, exactly.
yeah,
Race two.
and there was also 25 or 6.
25.
Yeah.
You say no, that's merits, man.
It all started with Monteverdi.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, man. It's not great.
Yeah, there you go.
You practice slow. Probably should have. Oh,
You should fall.
one of my favorite things,
Uh-huh.
you know, I've heard about this, the practices with the metronome. But then work backwards with the metronome. Go down to 10 BPM. I swear.
If I've heard it back
Never, I. Try that. That'd be good for you.
Okay, so looking at the time, we have about 20 minutes here. Let's take just a quick second to stretch. Anyone needs to run to the restroom, do that, and then we'll come back here to spend about the last 15 minutes or so of the day with a little group activity that brings together some of the ideas that Chris and Alberto were talking about, especially on the thumb and balance. So we're going to take about, let's say, 5 to 7 minutes now to just do a quick break, and then we'll meet back in here. Okay? So those of you at home, we'll see you in just a bit.
Great to
Okay, so everyone, we have spent some of today talking about use of the thumb in free stroke and rest stroke settings. And I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page with that. And then we will talk a little bit about what's called balancing the chord. So a balancing act of sorts is what we will do. What that is, in balancing something, it's a situation where actually we're not balancing the chord at all. We're in fact creating an imbalance of the various notes in the chord, where we want to bring out one or more voices over another. So this is kind of like the situation where you change from watching something in 2D and make it 3D. It creates a sense of relief when you're playing. It's very important skill to develop on this part because we're playing an instrument that is a chordal accompanying instrument or a polyphonic instrument, meaning many voices. And when we have many voices, we can't have all of them involved. We need to have one more time. So to start this, let's just simply pick up on a chord that we started the day with, this easy little E major chord in first position with the first and second fingers. We're only on 4 strings, right? Yeah. So what we're going to do is playing that chord. Everyone simply prepare P, I, M, A, all the first 4 strings, right? And now to start off with this balancing act, I want you to think about balancing your hand itself, left to right, thumb to pinky side of the hand, you might think there, right? So think of it like this, like sitting there in your chair, you can kind of lean to your left or lean to your right. And we're going to feel most comfortable, most balanced when that sits somewhere right in the middle. And think about your hand kind of the same way. Okay, so you want to start with a fairly balanced hand that way. And then let's just kind of in the air above the string, make it this. Yeah. And I want to see the thumb come down to the side of the eye finger, kind of right here between the tip and the knuckle joint there. The tip and the middle joint is so kind of creating this look right there, right? Kind of like that. Yeah, good. Okay, so now with that major chord, let's play E, I, M, A, one after another. Let's imagine now you've got 4 little fingers here, right? 4 fingers playing along. And those 4 fingers are all off on the distance. Okay? Now what we're going to do is we're going to gradually imagine that I and an A is way off in the distance, but P, the thumb, is going to be louder and louder. Closer and closer. Now bring I closer. Don't get any faster. Oh, and then you're being louder now. Good. Now, good. Let's pause a second and just kind of, we just got to move the 4 fingers. Let's figure out how we're doing that.
like, if carrot propagated his heart with meat pie, with all of the characters there. But if you just imagine for me, kind of a thought experiment, if I take a ball and drop it on the ground, versus taking a ball and like throw it at the ground, which one is going to bounce higher? The ball that I drop on the ground or the ball that I throw to the ground, assuming from the one that I threw, yeah. I mean, if I drop a ball from an airplane, 10,000 feet up, I imagine it's probably going to bounce higher than the ball I throw. But assuming I think that checked out. More energy in means more energy out. So what we have to do is play that simple. And what Chris was talking about in the lesson was the idea of using breaststroke as one of the ways that we not only speak color but also drawing and all that. So let's try for a moment there with that thumb. Try to good suggestion there of playing the position. Free stroke, then rest stroke. Free stroke, then rest stroke. Yeah. Now, if I'm getting that note with the sound, I can't speak for Chris, but here's one way that I'm imagining my free stroke works. If I'm playing that same position, there's my rest stroke. There's my free stroke. When I'm doing free stroke, I almost imagine that I'm kind of like pressing along the side of my mind. The same kind of motion that you would make almost as if you are about to snap or something like that, right? That kind of motion. We don't want to run into the fingers, but underneath the fingers, of course. Brush along the side. And then if we're going to play rest stroke, same thing works, because I don't make that kind of rushing motion. That will make a difference in the sound. Why does in this case when we do exactly as Chris was saying, keep the hand in the same position? Why does the rest stroke get a louder sound? It's the same reason that the ball bouncing directly down against the floor versus one that goes at an angle will get a higher bounce. When I put my energy directly down into the string, straight down into it, more of that energy from my stroke will into the string, so more sound comes back out. But if I make it a free stroke, it's equivalent to a glancing blow. So the string is getting grazed by the finger in some sense. And less energy is going into it, so less is coming out. Now I can artificially make that louder by changing the way I do my free stroke. Of course, both of those strokes have the ability to sink my way into the string. Let's try that. Let's try now sinking our whole hand into the string more. And what I want you to do is look at your right hand as you play. We're going to play E, I, and A all together this time. And I want you to imagine for now. Let's see, our fingers are like a little bird, a tiny little bird. Play. Maybe just a butterfly, right? Yeah, good. Now imagine the fingers are all like a fat cat sitting on the tree. Now a fat cat is sitting on the tree. Good. Now
go back to that EIMA pattern we're doing, and like. You bring it in. So we often want to bring up that topic for various reasons. If that first string note is something that I want to bring up, then I would bring up A here. Being able to have that kind of control in the right. So let's think about that and coming in for tomorrow. You all have some papers that were printed out in your folders, right? So everyone has a folder with papers in it. Please bring that folder in those papers back tomorrow, because we're going to not only use those sheets, we're also going to add to it. So you want to have your folder to keep collecting the material. And those of you online, I plan to simply make a simple shared folder so that we can all access the things all together there visually as well. How about we give about 4 minutes left? Any final thoughts? Final question. Then we'll end this way. The fun thing for us to kind of select new ideas. So I'm going to ask our guests, Chris and Alberto, who is their favorite classical guitarist is at the moment? Okay? So give them just a second to think about that. Yeah, okay. So their favorite classical guitarist. Other than that, anyone other?
Young guitarist, Petrice would love Petrice.
Spell Petrice last.
C-E-A.
Petrice has an interesting video of operation.
Young.
What's your favorite kind? Like cheese or one, like pepperoni. It's like you like Marcine. Like it. You say your favorite is.
Yeah.
I've been listening to a lot of this guy named Arcane DeVoe. Yeah, that's GFA. And he's a great player. I've been watching him do the crowd.
Oh, yeah. Great. He's both working on that. Great. Good.
So it's just.
Oh, yeah,
So many options.
I know another great recording of the Concerto de Jazz is by the protocol.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
I haven't.
I don't know.
Very good.
But when I was young, the guitar for a few years, really great. And I mean, it's still great.
But that's why I felt like young favorite, but there's too many. So you have to choose a category. Like it was kind of romantic music. I love like team. I was like sort of a young player in the 35 area. I like it a lot. But there's too much. I just my favorite.
So I'm really thrilled to see that this week, along with our guests online and here in the classroom, volunteers. Other than today, while we have 2 guest artists, women outnumber men in this class, which is very unusual. When Caleb is here and with our guests online too, that is a phenomenal thing to see and great thing to see on this class. So with that, why don't we try to name one female classical therapist our favorite, and I'll start. And it's a special one because she was one of my former teachers.
they also have my favorite female classical guitarist. She is from Nova Scotia, and when she was about 19, she moved to Germany and lived there ever since. But she lived in Germany for several decades. So she was phenomenal. And I'll write her name down. Actually, do you have a female classical guitarist? Yeah, yeah. There you go. There's a great suggestion to listen to a very famous classical guitarist. And I'll give you another name of a young classical guitarist who's impressed me. Is Jonah Parker. I don't know exactly her name. There are many great. Just exactly. Yeah. Good. All right. Well, great, everyone. We're right at 3 o'clock, so we should stop for the day, and we'll be back here at 11 a.m. tomorrow. Okay? Great. See you all.